A very good morning to you. Welcome to the West Ham Voice on Thursday morning. Bit of an update on latest transfer news and asking a question. What is West Ham United's end game in terms of what we're doing in this transfer window? I asked that question because when you look at what other teams are doing, what other clubs are doing, when they want to go out and get a player, it happens pretty quickly. I look at for a prime example, Eberechi Eze of currently of Crystal Palace, where Tottenham Hotspur thought that they had their player, and Arsenal came in right at the last moment and said, "We like some of that, thank you very much," and signed the player, or are about to sign the player. And when you look at clubs, I know that's a bit of a unique situation there, but when you look at other clubs, I think the point is when you look at other clubs and how they do their transfer business, it's pretty rapid, or it certainly comes across as being pretty rapid. But West Ham United don't seem to be pretty rapid at what we do. Everything seems to take for ages. At the beginning of the week, or earlier in this week, should I say, we were told that three bids had been made for three midfielders. And yet here we are on Thursday, only to be told that we're no closer now to signing any of those three players than we were when the bids were put in. Now, remember, we were told that one of those three players looked pretty much nailed on, with a possibility of two coming in, but definitely we weren't going to sign all three. I'm beginning to wonder now whether we're going to sign any, let alone three. A lot of speculation was made as to who these midfielders were, with only one really being played out very publicly, and that, of course, was for Southampton's Mateus Fernandes. And I'll give you an update on him in a moment. So it makes me sit here and wonder, why does it take West Ham United so long to do any transfer business? Why even put it out there? Why even say that we've got bids in when it's going to take an age to actually get any of these bids over the line? Is it, as a lot of people would suggest, mere posturing from the club? To say, "Oh, look, we're active. We're really active." Because then when you ask, why is it taking so long? You're then told, ask the manager, and now it's ask Carl McCauley. If you want to know the answers, you should ask them. But yet, we all know that David Sullivan is director of football. He's taken it upon himself to clear up Tim Steiden's mess. And he's taken it upon himself to be de facto director of football. And yet, when you're trying to ask questions as to where we're at with anything, it's go and ask somebody else. The blame game has started, and I just wonder, I've got to ask myself, where are we going with our transfer business? What exactly is our plan? Because if we continue to procrastinate in the way that we do, then we're really in trouble in terms of where we are as a football team this season. We've got a massive test. Well, we had a big test on last Saturday. We've got an even bigger test coming up on Friday night when we host Chelsea, and then we've got a test coming up against Wolves in the Carabao Cup next Tuesday. Got a feeling I know where we're going with that. We will then be seeing a lot of the youngsters being played in that game who, will cut their teeth, because I'm not so sure we'll see many youngsters against Chelsea on Friday. So I do ask myself, why does West Ham United go about its transfer business in the way it does? Graham Potter was very clear that he wanted to get the transfer business done early, in order to have the pre-season with as much of his new squad as possible, and he promised us an exciting transfer window. Well, 4 players in, with the greatest of respect to them, is not an exciting transfer window when you look at what some other teams have done. Some of the business that other teams have done. And I'm not suggesting that we should be competing with the likes of Liverpool and the Chelseas and these sorts of teams. But when you also look at the newly promoted teams and the amount of money that they've spent there, It makes you wonder, and Karen Brady in her TalkSport interview the other day said, "Oh, well, it's not about how much money you spend." Well, spend some money at the very least, because it may not be about how much money you spend. It's about bringing in players, regardless of how much money you spend. You're right there, Karen. It's not how much you spend, it's how you spend the money. But at least they spend the money. We're not even spending the money. Two players in that we paid for, both 15 to 20 million pounds each, and two players in on a free. That's not spending, is it, really? Um, so I don't know where our end game is. I don't know where we're going with this. All right. It's just these things that sort of, almost keep me awake at night. I'm wondering, what is our plan? Are we planning for life in the championship? Is that what it is? Is that where we're going? Is that where we believe we will end up as a football team? Because, the players themselves will hear what's going on. They will see what's being done at the club. They will listen, they will watch social media and stuff, and they will hear everyone being extremely worried about being a long season this season, about a possible relegation fight. That will be instilled in their minds, and they'll be going, well, what do we do? Going to try harder. And when you try too hard, sometimes you start making mistakes. And that could be the season that we're going to be suffering. The players under pressure, making mistakes, and nothing else there to ease that pressure. When you've got a proper, decent squad, at least you've got options, and we don't currently have options to make a difference in a game. All right. So Fernandes was one bid that we know now is a cert. It's been played out in social media. The second bid was widely speculated to be Losk Lils and Gal Isle Macau. But no one from either club has at this stage officially confirmed that that a bid has been made. And just maybe, that's happening behind closed doors, but it won't surprise me if this deal now doesn't materialize, if there's a deal at all. As for the third bid, well, take your choice as to which of the names you want to throw out there. Andre Santos of Chelsea, Mark Casado of Barcelona, or a number of other players that have been mentioned. And perhaps the third bid is the one that's being done correctly, behind closed doors, not in the public eye, and maybe we'll be surprised that we will actually get a player in that no one has thought of. Back to Fernandes for a moment, because as we heard, we made a derisory increase in our bid, on our original bid, where we went from 28 million pounds plus add-ons to 30 million pounds plus add-ons. And when asked whether that would get us any closer to signing the player, getting the bid over the line, and given that it's been reported that would we go as high up as 40 million pounds, the answer was an emphatic no. And the response to that was, we're too close to FFP to be able to go that high. So there you have it. The FFP trope is out there yet again. So when pushed to establish what is it we would spend on getting Fernandes, the answer was, well, not as high as 40 million, because Southampton still value him at 50 million. This is becoming this summer's Jhon Duran transfer saga. Now that we know that Southampton want that, now that we know Southampton want that much more, how high are we prepared to go? I mean, if we're not prepared to go to 40 million pounds, then why on earth are we wasting our time pursuing this deal? Now, maybe perhaps, that's the message that the senior source wants to put out there in order to distract any other club from making an offer. Saying, oh, well, no, we're not going to pursue because Southampton won 50 million pounds, and then that might deter other bidders. But football deals don't work that way, do they, for most clubs? Not all deals have the element of shadiness about them. And anyway, if a club wants to make a bid for a player, they're going to go and offer their own valuation to Southampton, much like Nottingham Forest have done with their bid for Douglas Luiz, where we kept hearing that if we make a bid, it's got to be 40 million pounds. Yet Forest are now about to sign him for 25 million pounds. So here we are with something like 12 days before the transfer window shuts, one day before we host Chelsea in our first home game of the season of the Premier League campaign, and yet we still have not progressed any further in acquiring midfielders who are going to enhance the current squad that we have. Instead, we seem to be focusing much harder on shifting players, more players going out of the club than bringing in to add as reinforcements. An endless stream of players are now being thrust our way. An endless stream of names are coming our way because it's quite painful to keep up with the latest names, the latest links. So at this stage, we're still pursuing Fernandes for whatever reason. We don't know if the Macau deal is even happening. And we're apparently now in for a whole host of other players. Quinten Timber, as an example, of Feyenoord, 24 years of age. Great player, really decent footballer when he stays fit. He's got a history of, he's got a poor injury record. Now, I mentioned on Wednesday that there was another player, that Carney Chukwuemeka of Chelsea might also be another target. And now two further names have come up. Soungoutou Magassa, the 21-year-old defensive midfielder, and, well, not midfielder, is he? He's a central defender who can play in defensive midfield of AS Monaco, and 21-year-old Djaoui Cisse of Stade Rennais have also been added to the list. Now, I don't know who to report on anymore, to be honest with you. Now, briefly on Timber, 24 years of age, central midfielder. He's been stripped of his captaincy at Feyenoord because he's not agreeing an extended contract. He's got 1 year left on his current deal. He's an excellent player, but as I've said, the concerns will be about his injury record. Last season, he missed 17 games because of a lateral knee injury. He's had knee issues in the past. And in 2022-23 season, he missed 18 games because of further knee issues. And before that, in 2020-21 season, he had a metatarsal fracture, missing over half a season. And there have been various other niggly injuries in between. But he's back, he's playing, and after 2 games this season, he's already on the score sheet, having scored in a Champions League qualifying game against Fenerbahce. Last season, he only managed 26 appearances, scoring just 6 goals. And the season before that, 44 appearances with 8 goals and 9 assists. So he's capable when he stays fit. He won his first senior cap for the Netherlands back in 2024, and he's since made 5 appearances there. He's good. But the concern is, can he stay fit? Apparently, Feyenoord would want anything up to about £30 million for a player who's only got a year left on his contract. So I guess we'll see how that pans out. But he's versatile. He contributes both defensively and in attack. He's a proper box-to-box midfielder. And if he stays fit, he would do really well. What about Djaoui Cisse? Djaoui Cisse, 21 years of age, developed through the Rennes youth system, made his senior debut last season after impressing in the academy. He's made 16 appearances, scoring just the 1 goal. The central midfielder has got pace, he's got power, he's considered a rising star, and he's represented France at under 21 level. He's strong, progressive, great pace, can become that typical box-to-box type of midfielder, but he's still developing and needs to add more to his attacking play. There's a suggestion that a £10 million bid might be enough to prize the player away from Stade Rennais. And then, as I've mentioned, Soungoutou Magassa, of Monaco, another 21-year-old. But as I said, he's a central defender, but he's very comfortable at playing in a central holding midfield role. So he's a bit of a different type of player to all the ones that we've been linked to of late, given that he is primarily a central defender. Developed through the Monaco youth system, made his senior debut for the club back in 2022, I think at the age of 17, 18, and he's made 57 appearances for Monaco to date. Excellent ball winner in defence, comfortable in carrying the ball out from the back, excellent technical ability, and considered to be one of the top defenders in League One. He's only had his contract extended just last year for a further 5 years, And it suggested that in order to prize him away, a 15 to 20 million pound bid would be needed. Now, these names do indeed sound like, I asked the other day, where's the Carl Macaulay list? And these kind of players do sound like they're on the list of a Carl Macaulay type of approach, type of players that he'd be looking for. But we need to get a move on, and we need to bring in some new midfielders to give us the belief that this season can be turned around before it slips away. And that's me just saying that after just one game in the Premier League. Now, two names to look out for where business might be done in some kind of swap deal could be between the clubs Marseille and ourselves. Marseille, as I mentioned the other day, have put Jonathan Rowe up for sale after an altercation with teammate Adrien Rabiot. Marseille manager, as the Marseille manager has said, Roberto De Zerbi, that both players are up for sale. Now, we know of Jonathan Rowe. He scored the winning goal in the under 21s Euros final against Germany. He's played for Norwich before switching to the French club. Primarily a winger, but he's the sort of player that can operate in the middle of the park, and he's got great pace. Now, he can play up front, he can play on the left, he can play in the middle of the park. Marseille are looking for a left back, and they've been linked to Emerson. So could a deal happen between the two clubs where, you know, the two players switch? I don't know what value we put on Emerson, maybe 10 million pounds at most, probably a bit too much. And whatever value that Marseille put on Rowe, maybe 15. So maybe a deal that includes a bit of a cash advance as well to get Jonathan Rowe to West Ham. Why not? Again, he'll offer us pace, he'll offer us something different, and he'll give us an option up front as well. Not only up front, but on the left, but also in the middle of the park. He's 22 years of age, Jonathan Rowe. And what's another advantage? He is a player on Will Sorthouse's books. So watch out for that one as well. There are plenty and plenty and plenty of others that I can talk about. But the headline at the moment really is that if Southampton have really said that they're holding out, or as we're told by the senior source, he said that Southampton are holding out for 50 million pounds, then why are we bothering to pursue that particular deal? If we want it, make a proper bid, go for it, and have done with it. If we don't, move on and start looking for other players. Thank you for watching and listening. If you're new to the channel, please do consider becoming a subscriber. If you've watched me before and not become a subscriber, please become a subscriber. And if you want to become a member of the channel as well, then there's a link scrolling along the bottom that can help you to become a member too. Look, you know me. I don't want to sound the way I do at the moment. I think I'll be really, really relieved. I think we'll all be really, really relieved if we start to sign a few players, but not just any player, but sign a few players that we believe can actually make a big difference to this team. Thank you for watching and listening. I'll be back later on with a preview of the game against Chelsea. It will be a live show around about 1 o'clock. So do join me for that as well. In the meantime, have a good rest of Thursday.